Welcome to Shovelware Diggers. Our dig team's currently excavating the Softkey Shareware 2000 Hit Games 2CD collection. You can find a link in the video description containing the entire directory structure of this archive. Here's what our diggers have for us for week 105. For more information on how to join the dig team, simply follow the Patreon link in the video description. Now without further ado, let's get started. First up, we have a new digger, Felicia Gladson, who's dug up WINGAMES /arcade/SWATM. I got a funny feeling this is going to be some kind of bug swatting game, just from the name of it. I got a text file here. This program requires Windows 3.0 or greater. Fun game where you have to swat various objects that appear on the screen. Okay, so it's not bugs, but objects. Kind of a weird use of the terminology. There are options for speed, number of objects, and kinds of objects. Easiest way to run this program is copy everything onto the disk. It technically needs VB Run 300 in Windows Sys, but that should already be there. Oh, so let's see. Okay, we got a very tiny window. At least it doesn't have a maximize button that doesn't work. Help. About. Version 1.1 by Jim Fox 93. That's weird. Requires Windows 3.0 or greater, but it's from 93. Huh. Because Windows 3.0 was a lot older than this. Mainstay computer, guy in California. What's the registration? Program is Shareware. If you or your children enjoy playing this game, please register. Support is needed to indicate whether these types of educational games... I got a funny feeling this isn't going to be very educational. But in any case, he wanted $10 for this. So instructions. SWATM is a game for children that helps teach hand-eye coordination, reasoning skills, and how to use the mouse properly. And to top it off, they can also have some fun. Purpose is to move the mouse pointer over the objects that appear on the screen and click on them with the left mouse button before the object disappears. The more you get in a 30-second time period, the higher your score will be. You can choose from 16 different types of objects to SWAT. Difficulty level can be changed, adjusting the speed of the game, and also the number of total objects can be displayed on the screen. Okay, so you actually have... Oh wow, these are all the objects. Well, let's just set it to random, because you never know. I like how max was the default. That was kind of a running gag with a lot of games that were made with Windows that were sort of like aimed at like some sort of digital space. It was like, Macs are the bad guys, PCs are the good guys. All hail Bill Gates. Something like that. We'll keep the speed on slow for now. So yeah, start. So, oh, they're all going to be random. I wonder why it turns into a no that symbol. Like, why wouldn't it turn into a... Okay, and you lose points if you click... Huh. Okay, so the way it works, from the looks of it, is you lose 1 point if you click somewhere that's not valid. But if you click somewhere that is valid, you get... Okay, the game just ended for some reason. But yeah, you lose 1 point if you misclick and click somewhere where there isn't something. And if something goes away... you lose 6 points. So I'm guessing because it's tracking it at the different speed levels, I'm going to guess that if I put the number of objects way up there... Oh, that's interesting. Now I'm getting 9 points per object. So apparently the different settings you put for the difficulty affects your score as well. Although it's kind of unsettling that there's no, there's clearly a time limit of some sort going on, but it's not actually showing the time limit. And it's still kind of weird that there's no sound effects. Like, I mean, you'd think, even without including your own sound effects, you could at least have dings going or something. Unless I got it on mute? No, I don't have it on mute. Huh. Let's just confirm that I do have sound working. Yeah, sound is working. So yeah, no audio. Well, let's see how it goes at very fast speed. Whoa, they are just popping up like crazy. Really, you could just like... Well, actually, that tactic didn't work so well, because it seems to be at least marginally precise on where you click. So now this makes a little more sense for somebody older. who does know how to use a mouse. I can click multiple things. It's still weird that it shows the cross-out symbol icon. And it does keep track of it in a different high score table, so that's good. Not much more to say about this one. So this was SWATM. It's definitely not a bad game. Is it worth $10? I think that's going to depend on... the person. If somebody's buying this for, like, their young child as something to help pass the time in terms of a small little Windows thing, then maybe I can see that being worth $10. You know what? Yeah, $10. It's barely worth it, but it's in that range for it. But then again, the thing is 1993, right? I mean, this is the same year Magic Carpet was released. This is the same year Doom was released. Like, but still $10 is reasonable for most Windows software, and it does work. It isn't bugging out. You know, that's the other thing too. The speed was consistent. Like, I mean, we've seen a whole bunch of these Windows games where the speed is just totally out there, but the speed actually seemed to work properly, even at the highest setting. So, yeah, $10, it's barely worth it, but it is. Next up, Jonathan Gosselin's dug up WINGAMES /action /Winroids. This has to be an Asteroids clone of some kind. In fact, I've probably played this before. Winroids README file, June 93. Got another game from 93. Winroids is a version of the popular game Asteroids for the Windows environment. Features ray-traced graphics. Oh, that innocent time when people used terms without really understanding what they meant. He probably means vector line graphics. High-speed action and full multimedia sound? Well, there's two MID files, but I don't see any WAV files. Interesting. Requirements: fast 386 or 486 computer, Windows 3.1, and sound card. Optional. And it's Shareware. Please pay a small registration fee if you like it. Copyright Stephen Baxter. Or Stephen Baxter. Could be either. Where's the help file? What is it? Oh, that's just that information. These... Okay, the keys are redefinable. That's good. Because these default keys are kind of weird. Okay, important fact. How much is this going to cost? Okay, £5 for UK users and $10 for US users. So this guy's actually in the UK. And he has an email address. Early 90s email. It was very different back then. But yeah, so roughly the same price as the last game. So let's see what we got here. Oh, nice big window. This looks like it would actually be the full 640 by 480 screen. And again, no maximize button. So that's 2 for 2 now. And this is actually the only other Windows game we're going to be looking at today. But and we got the about screen there. There's our help. So let's redefine those controls. First of all, let's turn the sound on. MIDI file. It came with 2 of them. Is it actually going to play this? Yeah. Well, original music. You don't encounter that very often with Windows titles. There was a second one included, though. I wonder what this one is. Either way, 2 MIDI files that aren't completely terrible. There we go. I can get behind these controls. So, new game. Whoa, we actually do have sound effects. And our bullets are tiny little pixels. That was a weird sound. Actually, remember before when I was talking about how people could make their own sounds by using their voice? These actually sound like vocal-made sounds. It's also kind of interesting how the graphics have a sort of pseudo 3D-ness to them. There were some programs back in the early days of Windows that actually did do very basic 3D graphics. In fact, the 3D Studio programs have been around for quite a while. I think this would have been in time for that. So how do my shields work anyways? Whoa, that shield gauge drops very quickly. Or there were those... Whoops. Okay, I actually recognized that sound effect just now. I actually recognized that sound effect from a different game, so... Yeah, these sound effects... I don't think these sound effects are original. Even though they do sound vocal... Some of them sound vocally made, most of them sound vocally made. That one definitely isn't, because I've even heard that one in a different game before. Although it could be the game it came from could have been made by the same person. Let me quickly look that up. Okay, fun fact. The game that sound effect I'm hearing comes from is from '94. So it's possible that the game that I first heard that screaming sound effect in actually stole it from this one. And maybe this one actually stole it from somewhere else too, or maybe it came from like some sound effect CD or something, I don't know. That's still very unusual. Okay, one thing I'm gonna try to... Oh look, there's like some kind of bubbly, spiky thing? It's rotating? Oh! That doesn't die. Okay, I'm just gonna avoid it then. Or maybe running into it with my shields. Let's see. Nope, just bounce off it with the shields. Actually, this game's kind of hard. And yeah, the Game Over Man thing I think is ripped from Aliens. Anyways, that was Winroids. That was not bad. I think the sound effects really are ripped from elsewhere. Some of them probably came from a sound effects CD. The Game Over Man thing definitely came from Aliens. And then this game does predate the game I thought was using the same sound effects, but they're by two different people as well. So I don't know. But in any case, for a $10 game, it's not bad. And our last dig for today comes from Brendan of RetroSwim. DOSGAMES /Arcade2 /JOUSTVGA. I know exactly what this is. Here we go. Yep, Joust VGA by Dave/Ron Sharpless. So this guy was known for at least a couple VGA remakes of old arcade games. Joust was one of them. The other one was the original Mario Brothers. And I'll probably end up seeing that one at some point too. But let's see here. Remember how to do this. ZX and Alt for player 1 movements. Hopefully the Alt key doesn't mess with anything. F change flap key. You use caps lock for player 2? What? I guess we'll just start game. How many lives? 10, 30, or 80? This guy knows his audience. That or he made the game really, yeah, it shouldn't be running that fast. Okay, this feels about as close to the right speed as I'm gonna get it. So yeah, those of you unfamiliar with Joust, it's a pretty basic game. You just ride an ostrich, and you hit other ostrich riders with your butt. That's really all there is to it. You got a lance in front of you, but that doesn't matter. You're just using your butt. This is Butt Slam the Game with ostriches. And so far this is controlling fairly... Whoop. Down I go. Also, whatever that dragon thing is, it's leaving junk on the screen. So, fun fact, Joust is one of the few games I've actually rolled the score counter on. Not this one, but the Atari 2600 version, specifically. And the only reason why is because Atari Age, a long time... I don't know if they still do this or not, but Atari Age had these sort of weekly score contests for a while. Back at the time when I was still on the Atari Age forums. I haven't been there in ages now. Pardon the pun. But, yeah, so they had a whole bunch of... They did a whole bunch of different weekly scoring contests. And at one point, Joust came up. And so I'm playing the game, and I'm thinking to because I never really played much of the Atari 2600 version. I have a whole bunch of 2600 games. Most of them are in storage right now, actually. But... what was fun about that was that with most versions of Joust, I'm only okay at them. I'm not like super good. But with the 2600 version in particular, knowing how the 2600 works and what its limitations are, I was actually able to figure out some pretty good strategies for staying alive. And as a result of that, I pretty much almost never died. So I basically played until I rolled the score counter and then was like, that's good enough. I don't care to play any further than that. And to give you an idea of how many points that is, the scoring here seems to be very similar to the actual arcade Joust. So I've got 11,500 points right now. To roll the score counter in the Atari 2600 version requires 990,990 points. So, or nine. I forget how many zeros are actually meaningful, but yeah, it's a lot of points. I was literally playing for an hour and a half. But now back to this version of Joust. This is actually not bad. It's using PC speaker sound effects. I probably should have just the controls when you're on the ground are a little weird. They're not terrible. It's just kind of janky when you're on the ground, but when you're in the air, it works pretty well. Yeah, this is actually playing all right. I've never really played the Dave Sharpless games that much. I had the Mario one as a kid, but I never really played it too much. But yeah, this plays okay. It's a blatant ripoff of Joust, obviously. It's not like Joust hasn't been ripped off before, technically. Balloon Fight on the NES was technically a ripoff of Joust, but then they did it in such a way that it had its own aesthetics that were very different to this one, and some of its own gameplay elements too. So that got away with it by being different enough. This is just blatantly Joust. Like it's in the title. But yeah, this is a decent version. Not really much more to say about it. But I guess if you were into Joust and you didn't have an arcade near you, but you had access to a DOS PC with a VGA card, well, here you go.